This is The Fifth Estate, a conversation between young African scholars from the Fort Hall School of Government and Professor Mutahi Ngunyi. This week, we will plead temporary insanity yet again. And we will use reverse engineering to speculate on what Uhuru and Raila agreed on. Because they did not tell us, we will use what they are doing politically today to reconstruct what they agreed on yesterday. In our view, the handshake meeting had 3 agenda items. The first was IEBC, the second was the Supreme Court, and the third was 2022. On the first item, Uhuru gave in to Raila's demands. He agreed to disband IEBC. And by the way, IEBC has been disbanded whether Chebukati resigns or not. On the second item, the Supreme Court, Uhuru's demands were met. Because Uhuru agreed to disband IEBC, Raila agreed to support the disbanding of the Supreme Court. Besides, Maraga is not useful to Raila anymore. The handshake, therefore, after disbanding IEBC, will disband the Supreme Court. On the third item, regarding 2022, there was no agreement. Raila insisted on preserving the dynasties, but Uhuru disagreed. And these were Uhuru's reasons.
Uhuru understood 2 things. 1. He knows the dynasties are like Goliath. The Goliath who wore a huge vest made of metal weighing 200 kilos. Uhuru also knows that dynasties, like Goliath, carry multiple weapons. Goliath's head had a metal helmet that weighed over 10 kilos. On his side, he had a javelin, a sword, and a short spear. They all weighed 50 kilos. If you confronted this giant, you were dead on arrival. And David knew that Goliath's strength was also his weakness. Because he was a giant with 260 kilos of metal vest and heavy weapons, he was slowed down by the weight. In the meantime, David showed up with 5 soft stones, a leather bag, and a sling. And with 1 soft stone, David killed the giant. And this is the lie we teach our children in Sunday school. We teach them that a David with a soft stone can kill a Goliath. Yet we do not explain to our children what David's soft stone was about. You see, if Uhuru disagreed with Raila's dynasty project, it is because he knew something about a hustler carrying a soft stone.
This is the second thing that Uhuru understood. Instead of relying on Sunday school stories like Raila's story about Joshua, Uhuru read history. He knew that the miracle story of David killing Goliath with a stone was told wrongly. If you read the Holy Bible, there was a deeper meaning here. The Old Testament records 3 types of warriors. The first was the cavalry. These were armed men on horseback or chariots. The second was the infantry. These were foot soldiers wearing armor and carrying swords like Goliath. But there was a third type of warrior. They were called the artillery. These were archers and slingers, and David was a slinger. A slinger is how we today understand a sniper. He could kill an opponent from half a kilometer away using a soft stone and a sling. And this is why when David met Goliath, Goliath asked him, "Am I a dog that you should come to me with sticks?" Goliath did not believe that a sniper with 5 soft stones could defeat a giant carrying 260 kilos of metal. If the sniper was a sharpshooter and God was with him, he knew that Goliath was too big to miss.
The dynasties are like Goliath. They carry 260 kilos of metal and posh history. Like Goliath, they think that this is an advantage. Yet at the core, they do not realize that this is a heavy burden that will slow them down. On his part, David was described as an underdog, but this is not biblically correct. David was not an underdog. He was just different. Instead of fighting using the heavy armor, he fought as a light-footed slinger. He rejected the vest offered to him by King Saul. He knew that the posh things of war could not defeat Goliath. If Goliath was playing football, David had to play marathon. And therefore, David defeated Goliath because he played a different game. Now, if Raila is collecting all the burdens from the dynasties, he will become a giant of burdens like Goliath. Then in 2022, this dynasty giant will ask Ruto, "Am I a dog that should come to me with sticks?" And Ruto the sniper will look at this giant of burdens and tell him, "You are too big to miss." Like Ruto, David was not an underdog. He was a trained sniper who played a different game.
Now, we will return to where we started. First, we pleaded temporary insanity. Then we went ahead to declare that IEBC is dead and the Supreme Court will also collapse. And all this was negotiated by the handshake. Uhuru promised to kill IEBC, Raila promised to kill the Supreme Court. But they disagreed on how to deal with the dynasties. And this is because Uhuru knew something that Raila did not. Uhuru did not just listen to the Sunday school stories. He read history. He knew that David surprised Goliath because he was a shepherd boy. And the methods of a humble boy like David had not yet been studied in the art of war. Goliath too did not understand them. Uhuru is supporting Ruto because 1. Ruto supported him, and 2. Because he believes in Ruto. But he is also supporting Ruto because the methods of this shepherd boy have not been studied yet. If the dynasties attack him using the Goliath methods, Ruto will finish them using the sniper methods and a sling. In light of the above, Raila meeting with Mzee Kibaki and Mzee Moi means nothing. To discuss them is a total waste of national imagination.
Today I will give Raila Odinga some unsolicited advice. And I know that giving advice that is not solicited is rude, but I will give it all the same. And I'll give it because Raila's advisors are incompetent in my view. On the handshake, this was the best decision Raila would have ever made. It has stabilized the country and has restored him as a statesman, locally and abroad. However, whoever advised him to engage in the Dynasty project was malicious. And this is why. You see, Raila is a project of the hustler nation. From Kibera to Kondele, the poor believe that he's one of them. In fact, some of them believe that he lives in Kibera. But now he has disowned them in favor of the dynasties. And like the prodigal son, Raila has returned to his rich father. And with this action, he has revealed to the country, and especially to the poor, that he was just a fake hustler in Kibera. That he was a prodigal son who had run away from his father and went to hide in some slum somewhere. And because Raila has abandoned the poor, Ruto will now become the new prince of the hustler nation. He will show us how a chicken seller from nowhere can become president. My advice to Raila, therefore, is this, and it is unsolicited completely. Focus on one William S. Ruto, not on the dynasties.
And now, our final thought. When William Ruto opposed the creation of an executive prime minister position this week, people said he was angry. But was he? And the answer is yes. The motion to create this position was meant to provoke Ruto. It was crafted by the Dynasty project to disorient Ruto. This is why we must give counsel to William Ruto. If a man throws a ball at you, you do not have to catch it. Commenting on the PM motion is catching a ball that Ruto should have ignored. Now we will have to ask an honest question. Why are the dynasties afraid of a Ruto presidency? Is it because Ruto is a David with surprising methods? Or is it because Ruto is from the hustler nation? Are they afraid of his methods? Or are they afraid of his identity? If they are afraid of his identity, they will lose. If not afraid of his methods as a hustler, they will embrace innovation. And innovation is what Uhuru has banked on his support for Ruto. He knows that dynasties have no political innovations. Ruto is the man to lead the revolution.